Canadian University receives a giant trove of UFO files that could shed light on the Falcon Lake incident. We're going to talk about former Defense Minister of Canada, Paul Hellyer, that keeps coming out decades now, talking about disclosure that should be made on UFOs and ETs. He's held many a lecture on these subjects, detailing to us there are various species of ETs on Earth and off Earth. Now, this collection of various documents, reports, books was donated to the University of Manitoba by Chris Rutkowski, a prominent Canadian UFO hunter, according to Sputnik News. Alien enthusiasts can get their hands soon enough on these troves of investigative files related to UFO sightings in Canada, stemming from more than 40 years of research by Chris Rutkowski. Now, I don't know if you remember, but many times when I talk about these things, I refer to something that we saw. I was about 12, 13 years old because I used to live in Montreal, Canada. It was during summer vacation. In the evenings, we would take our bicycles. We lived in a cul-de-sac in Montreal, and we used to go around the block. And at the end of the block, at the area towards the corner of it, we had a forest. And we had electric towers going through that area in the forest. And we saw this white circular disc hovering above one of these towers. And it was just sitting there noiselessly above the tower. It wasn't hovering, I shouldn't say hovering, it was motionless above the tower. After a few times going around the cul-de-sac, around the block, we saw it just motionless there, and we figured that it must have been a UFO by process of elimination. It wasn't an airplane, it wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a hot air balloon, it was nothing. And we said, well, it must be a UFO. So obviously there were a lot of sightings in Canada. We'll go through the list, but there's just so many. When I used to live in Canada, there was only a total of 10 million people in the whole country. I think now there's about 30. So Rutkowski began collecting individual accounts of purported UFO encounters and sightings from Canada in 1975. He's since collected more than 20,000 separate UFO reports filed with various agencies and almost 10,000 government documents and an unspecified number of artifacts relating to UFOs. So in October, he decided to donate his findings of his lifetime project, focusing on provinces of Manitoba, to the University of Manitoba so that researchers re-examine them and make them available to the public as well. The university has now launched a fundraising campaign with the target of 25,000 Canadian dollars to set up a fund that would maintain the records and put them online for everyone to be able to access them. The centerpiece of the collection is the Falcon Lake incident, the most famous reporting of UFO sightings in Canada. An amateur geologist and industrial mechanic, Stephen McCulloch, claimed he encountered two flying saucers May 1967 while looking for silver. I think that's just about the 67. No, maybe we saw ours 63, 64, I don't know, somewhere around there. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, in 1967, while looking for silver in the area, he was burned by one of them as he attempted to get in. McCulloch was indeed hospitalized with grill-like burns on his stomach, which he insisted was left by gas from the craft's exhaust system, and his clothes had the same grid pattern burned into them. Now, the soil in the alleged land site at McCulloch's clothes were found to be highly radioactive, but the case remained unsolved. Skeptics pointed to some inconsistencies in Malick's story, including the denial that he was intoxicated by alcohol on the day of his discovery, quote unquote, which contradicted the testimony of the policeman who encountered him near the site and a local bartender. The shirt and hat McCulloch was wearing were burnt by a saucer, are part of Rutkowski's collection. Officials at the province, those are the relics, the shirt and the hat. Now, officials at the Provincial Archives in New Brunswick in East Canada, that's above Maine, by the way, are currently cataloging what's believed to be the world's largest single collection of UFO material. The records compiled by another ufologist, Stanton Friedman, spans over 60 years of study of UFO phenomena. The collection is so big, it reportedly took archives as 5 cargo vans to move it due to the volume of the material and the need to do extensive work to make it available to researchers. It would probably take 10 years with the resources to focus on it. This is what expert Joanna Ayton-Kerr of the archive said. This is Paul Hellyer when he was Defense Minister of Canada when I was still there. I lived in 1970. So let's go to his extraterrestrial intelligence claims. 1967, Hellyer flew in by helicopter to officially inaugurate the unidentified flying object landing pad in St. Paul, Alberta. The town had built it as its Canadian Centennial project, symbol of keeping space free from human welfare. So now, early September 2005, Hellyer made headlines by publicly announcing he believed in the existence of UFOs. September 25, 2005, he was invited speaker at an exopolitics conference in Toronto. He told the audience that he had seen a UFO one night with his late wife and some friends. He said that although he had discounted the experience at the time, he kept an open mind to it. He said he started taking the issues much more seriously after watching ABC's UFO special in February 2005. 2007, Hellyer is demanding that world governments disclose alien technology that could be used to solve the problem of climate change. He says, I would like to see what alien technology there might be that could eliminate the burning of fossil fuels within a generation. That could be a way to save our planet. We need to persuade governments to come clean on what they know. Some of us expect they know quite a lot, and it might be enough to save our planet if quickly applied. So Hellyer also said that at least 4 species of aliens have been visiting Earth for thousands of years, with most of them coming from other star systems. Although there are some living on Venus, Mars, Saturn's moons, according to him, they don't think we are good stewards of our planet. Okay, and then going back to the sightings in Canada. There are so many. Clan Lake, 1960, Northwest Territories. Of course, hardly anybody lives up there except the polar bears and the caribou, the moose. Now, this is the 1967 Falcon Lake, Manitoba incident, Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, Prince George, British Columbia UFO, 75-76, Southern Manitoba, 78, Clearville, Newfoundland and Labrador, 86, Monroe Point, Nova Scotia, in 1989, Marieville, Quebec, 1990, Montreal aerial phenomena. What is that? Montreal, that's where I used to live. Witnesses reported a round metallic object of about 540 meters wide over the rooftop pool of the Bonaventure Hotel. That's it, that's beautiful. It was over the rooftop of the hotel. All right. That sounds like what John Lennon, who was on the west side of Manhattan, told us that he saw one over the building next to him. He was giving the interview on his balcony, which is quite high up, and he was pointing to the building next door. He says, "We saw it over that roof. You know, low over the roof." Anyway, it was wide over the rooftop pool of the Bonaventure Hotel. That's it right there. Okay. That's in Los Angeles. That's not. Okay, where's the one in? Anyway, there's a Bonaventure. That's obviously it's a French name in Quebec, Montreal. Eyewitnesses saw 8 to 10 lights forming in a circle above them, emitting bright white rays. The phenomenon lasted 3 hours, from 7 to 10 p.m., and moved slowly northwards. While none could identify the lights, a few witnesses, according to the next day's report on the press, Le Presse is, they're French-speaking there, were ready to express their belief that they were visited by aliens. A few witnesses say they saw what they saw in a televised interview, CBC. Also, we had, okay, a lot more. Ajax, Ontario, let's go back. Ajax, Ontario, 2010 Harbour Mill Incident, 214 Kensington, Prince Edward Island sighting. 2014 multiple reports of UFO sightings over Toronto, Canada. Multiple reports about Toronto, July 2014. Canadian UFO survey results, published by Ufology Research Manitoba, had the largest numbers of sightings, 34, followed by Vancouver with 31, and Terrace, British Columbia with 25. 2002, a typical UFO sighting lasted about 15 minutes. That's a lot. The Canadian federal government currently, 2007, directs all UFO sightings to Chris Rutkowski, Ufology Research Manitoba. So he's the guy that is releasing all his documents to be made public. Okay, the Falcon Lake incident, yes. We just said that. Stephen Michalek claimed he was born by one of two flying saucers with which he reported came into contact at Falcon Lake, Manitoba. That's it right there. Near the Trans-Canada Highway, near the Ontario border. The lake is named, okay, for a Métis poet, songwriter, okay. So ufologists claim that images of Michalek in the hospital show a grid of burn marks on his chest. Okay, there he is. This was May 20th, 1967, and you can see the grid on there. How close did he get it? Did he fall on it or something? I mean, that's quite a big area of your thorax, your abdomen area, to be grilled like that. Yes, so that's it. 2 books have been written on the alleged Falcon Lake occurrence, and one of them was Michalek, of course. Skeptic Dr. Aaron Sekulich reviewed the report made by Michalek to police shortly after the incident, along with other evidence. He said it was indeed burned, but that the burns were in fact likely caused by an accident brought by alcohol consumption, and that Michalek, who was prospecting for silver ore near the lake at the time, probably made up the story to keep other prospectors out of the area. What can I tell you? Okay, so I'll leave links below for you for this. Very interesting. So these will be made available to the public. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.